Outside the Box Reviews, Predator Week is back, and today we're taking a look at the NECA Predator Wave 15. Masked Scar Predator from Alien vs. Predator. So this is our second wave in a row of all AVP related figures. And right off the bat I'll say this wave is a lot of the same that we got with the previous wave, but that's definitely not a bad thing. I was really super impressed with the brand new Predator body NECA created for these AVP Predators. And I felt like they put a lot of great detail into those three characters last time. So first up we do have Scar with his mask on. The previous release was unmasked and, well, we kind of knew this was coming, right? There was no doubt in anybody's mind that we were going to get the masked version. So let's jump right in and take a closer look at what this guy comes with. If you had the previous accessories, this shouldn't be any surprise to you. We do get the combi stick. This is the retracted version that comes with Scar. You have the nice kind of coppery gold center to it with all the ornate carvings in it. Actually very sharp points at the end. Kind of bladed section here. Little forks coming out. And overall I think it's a very nicely sculpted piece. Scar has a little clip here on his back. It's a pretty wide clip, so it'll clip onto the body of the combi stick, and it stores pretty nicely. If you bump him, it will fall off. It's not a super tight grip on it, but it serves its purpose. We also get the Ceremonial Knife, which is really nicely sculpted, same that we got before once again. The very ornate hilt, carrying in some more of that copper detail, some little bits of gold in there, along with this very fleshy looking black and little claw there at the end. And then the blade itself is a nice grayish silver, has a split down the middle and the heavily serrated edges. That also stores right here on the shin piece to Scar, so it just slides right in there, and nice and easy storage. And then we get a fully extended Shuriken, so this has some more of that copper on it, but is mostly silver. Some nice detail here in the individual prongs. And I'm also a little worried with these because they feel like they're pretty brittle and they would break if you just move them the wrong way. I think NECA did a fantastic job creating Scar's biomask here. It's very simple, very classic Predator mask, but the little touches to it make it really stand out. Obviously, the main thing, the biggest point with Scar is that there is the scar here on the top. It's a nice indented sculpt. It actually does look like it's burned in with acid, which I really appreciate. The overall texture to the mask itself is nice. They gave it this mottled, hammered aluminum look, so you can see it's overall a very nice silver, but there's a black wash over top of everything, really darkening it up and giving it this used and abused look. The visor actually connects across the front in that very tiny section above the nose, or the lack of nose, I guess, on a Predator, but it has a nice silvery sheen to it. And then we even get some good detail there on the targeting computer. And of course, these AVP Predators have the cords coming out of their biomask. Now, we talked about these last time. They actually do plug in to the plasma caster back here. There are two very, very tiny holes there on the plasma caster. Now, I have a problem with this because I have a hard time getting the plasma caster to stay on and move the Predator with his very large amount of dreadlocks anyway. So I think getting these cables to really plug in and stay on the plasma caster is just going to be more of a pain than I want it to be. So I really just take them and I tuck them back behind the dreadlocks like I showed in my original videos last time. And I think it really captures the same effect without having to just go crazy about trying to get those plugged in the right hole. Speaking of the dreadlocks, they're really nicely done. Classic soft rubber pieces we're used to. You have the short ones here at the front and then the longer ones in back. The AVP Predators to me all seem to have like really bulky dreadlocks, and they definitely pulled that look off here with Scar. Plasma caster is really nice. We have the med kit here in the middle, carrying in some of that copper paint job as well. Very mechanical looking, also has that same mottled hammered aluminum look as the biomask. Overall, very, very nice design. This plasma caster up here. This cannon is also removable, so if you wanted to recreate the beginning of the film, you pretty much can. There's a little nub there on the end of the arm, but overall you can get it how he looked without the plasma caster on there. We do get a hinge there at the middle. Of course, it will swivel up at the top. We also have a hinge here at the bottom of the plasma caster arm, and that is also on a slide, so you can slide that forward and back to have it active and up and looking around, or you can slide it down and have it in its retracted mode when he's not using it. There's two pegs on the underside here, and those correspond with the two pegs here on his back. And I find it's easier to plug the bottom one in first. And then once it's pegged in, you have a nice solid fit. But as I mentioned before, if you move the head around, the dreadlocks do have a tendency to knock it out of those pegs, so you kind of have to re-peg it in once you have his head in the correct position. Going further down the figure, we have some very classic Predator elements. The lower body is all basically the same to the initial release, so if you have that figure, we're pretty much in that same territory here. We have the rings around the neck, the heavy chest armor here, continue on that same look that the biomask had, with the black wash and all the little divots in it. A little chest piece here in the middle, which is a softer rubber piece, so it floats over his mid-torso. All the netting is painted on very well on this Predator. The different colors fade into each other very nicely. I think they may have darkened up the yellow on this Predator over the initial release, which I kind of like. It looks a little better when it's not quite so banana yellow, even though I didn't really mind it last time. We have a string over his arm with his little bandolier of skulls here. The heavy armor over his shoulders. Definitely more armor than pretty much any other Predator we've gotten before. A little tie-off on the strap here, which I really appreciate. Great attention to detail. Similar on his left arm. And on his wrist, of course, we do have the computer with the flip-out screen, which so cool that we have this now. It actually kind of makes me disappointed when I look back at the old figures and see that we don't have it. And then his left hand is his open grabbing pose, which is a nice contrast to the unmasked one who had a gripping hand there. I think it had an open hand on his right side. Speaking of the right side, we do get the long extended blades with this version of Scar. And these just peg right into the gauntlet, so you can pull them out if you want to remove them or trade them with another Predator. The gauntlet is nicely detailed, and then we have a closed fist on his right side, but we can actually unpeg that because Scar comes with an alternate hand. He has his gripping hand, you could put the combi stick in there, or you could put the Shuriken in there. I definitely like that he came with an interchangeable hand. The first wave of these AVP Predators all kind of had different hands, and you could interchange them between the different figures, but I definitely like that this Scar has options just in his own package. Down the figure's belt, we have all of his cool Predator pouches and tools and things. Don't know what they actually are, with the exception of the Shuriken hanging here in the front that's all folded up. We have his crotch armor piece here over top of his loincloth. His upper leg armor pieces that are loosely connected so that you can still have articulation while they're there. Similar flap here at the back, and a rubberized loincloth underneath. Once again, the legs continue on that great netting paint job. It's kind of sad that I'm so impressed with it, but so few Predators in this line have had good netting paint on them, so the fact that these AVP Predators are getting a good paint job makes me pretty happy. His big bulky shin armor, and then we have his clawed sandals down here, and of course we do get peg holes at the bottom of his feet. For articulation, if you had the last wave, you know exactly what to expect. The head will move up, down, side to side, pivot, nice ball joint there. Pin socket shoulders, so they'll go forward, back, as well as out to the side. Mine are a little on the tight side, so you probably want to be careful, maybe apply some heat if they're being really stuck. Don't force the joints or you're probably going to break them. You do get a bicep swivel, get a nice double jointed elbow that I really love on these figures. Get another swivel here at the base of the gauntlet, and a ball joint at the wrist. We have a ball joint at his upper torso, so he could rotate side to side, move forward and back, as well as tilt. Because Scar has the chest armor both here and in a strip down his back, we don't really get as much motion out of the upper torso as we get on some of the Predators that have a little less armor. We also do have a ball joint at the waist, so we could also swivel side to side there, pivot forward, back, side to side. Pin socket legs, so they'll kick forward, and you can see the leg armor kind of moves with them. Also move back, not quite so much. The ass section of this figure is a little more rigid than some of the other Predators have been. You can also go out to the side, which you want to watch that dagger on this side that you don't catch it on anything. We have an upper thigh swivel. Very, very nice double jointed knee there on the Predator. Similar to how they did the Alien, we kind of hide that upper knee joint, so you really don't see a lot of the articulation pieces there if you bend it right, which I definitely appreciate. We also have a swivel there at the knee, and the foot is on a ball joint, so you can move it pretty much any way you want. And for comparison, here's our new masked Scar next to his unmasked counterpart there on the left, and one of our AVP Xenomorphs there on the right. And you can see, basically the same figure as the unmasked one, we just get different hands here. And you can also definitely see that the yellow is a little bit darker on him. It's mostly noticeable in the hands, but also throughout the rest of the body. At least on my example, it's a little more muted of a yellow color than we got on the unmasked. And not that we ever get to see them all together like this in the movie, but here he is next to his comrades. We have Celtic there on the left and Chopper there on the right. You never see Scar with a Scar mask with these guys all in biomasks together, but they do fit as a big set. So this figure is exactly what you'd expect, but I'm going to give it a very, very solid recommend. I don't know if he quite goes into the point of being a high recommend because, well, without the newness of the previous wave going for it, it's a lot of the same what we just got. I've actually run into the problem quite a bit already that I've been seeing the previous wave showing up at more and more retail stores, and it's really hard to tell the difference because the Predators all look pretty much the same. There's not a lot of color variation with these Predators like there have been some some of the previous ones. But personally, I don't think my collection would feel complete without having a Scar Predator with his mask on. I probably will do what I've been doing with a lot of my Predator figures and just popping the head off one of them and kind of making my own little Ultimate Predator where I have both heads available to me, ready to display, and the body just goes in storage. But very cool figure. I love the articulation on this thing. I love the paint apps. Every little detail just feels right. NECA knocked it out of the park with these guys. So if you missed the previous wave, definitely worth picking this guy up to have a movie version of Scar. And even if you got the previous wave, still a really freaking cool figure. Make sure you follow me on Instagram, username Outside the Box Reviews. Also check me out on Facebook, link below. And until next time, this has been another Outside the Box Reviews, and Predator Week continues next.